Hey, it's Jordan. Why I gave up on alcohol. Now, this isn't something I consciously planned on. I never said to myself, if I just got rid of alcohol, my life would be better. Which, when I was younger, that might have been the case. But lately, the last few years, I haven't had a problem drinking. Didn't affect my everyday life, per se. But I just noticed I don't like drinking anymore. It doesn't resonate with my energy. When I have had a drink in the last year, I think I had one or two maybe, after the drink, I just instantly regret it. I feel better before this drink, which wasn't the case when I was younger. I mean, when I was 21, I had an issue. I had a problem for a while. I was drinking every day. And it's like, why did I do that? And now I know, looking back, it's because I didn't feel good in my body. I didn't feel like I could be myself. So I used alcohol as this liquid courage to bring me out of my shell so I could express myself. And now I can do that without extra help, without the liquid courage. So yeah, I haven't been using it in that way for a while. But the root of it is really just I didn't feel safe as a kid. I felt I had to pretend to be somebody else. So I built this persona. I put all this armor on top of me to protect myself so I could survive in my family and where I was. I had to blend in and act a certain way. And I didn't realize it was because of that. That's why I had to find alcohol and use substances to feel better. But now I realize that that's the reason. So now if I do want to feel better in my body, I'll do some breath work and meditate, and I'll sit in the feeling. That's how we alchemize. That's how we change and raise our frequency. The old saying, what you resist persists. If you have a feeling of being uncomfortable and you just run to, let's say, alcohol, could be pills or whatever, pot, cannabis, anything, even breath work or exercise, you can run to something external and avoid facing what you need to work on, what you need to see. So instead of escaping and using substances, now I'll just take a breath and look at it. Allow, accept, and embrace what's coming up for me. And sometimes it feels like electricity running through my body. It feels like I'm on fire. I just don't want to sit in it. And lately, actually, it has been getting, I must say, much easier. The fire is much more subtle. But when I first started this alchemization, this transformation, man, it was not comfortable. And this is why people avoid doing the inner work. I know plenty of people that would rather watch TV and drink and escape in any way possible rather than do the inner work. People distract themselves 24/7 hours a day, never allowing this uncomfortable feeling in. And the paradox is, once you actually embrace that uncomfortable feeling and allow it, that's when it starts to change. That's when you notice different things coming up in your life, like this alcohol thing. I just noticed the past year, I feel better without drinking. And that was never the case in my earlier life. But now, and it's the same thing with violence. I used to train jiu-jitsu and MMA, and I loved all the UFC fights, and I was fascinated by it. And now as I mature in my awakening, violence just seems silly. It doesn't interest me. I get it, I understand it from the perspective of someone that if you're operating in your lower self and your personality, that feeling of safety and wanting to be safe, so you learn how to fight and defend yourself and all that, it's going to be there. But now as I'm moving into my soul has no fear of death. It knows it's protected and guided. So the idea of having to defend myself or fighting or all that lower level violence behavior just doesn't do it for me anymore. It's interesting. So really this is sharing about facing that uncomfortable feeling. And everybody has it. Anybody and anybody. Just being born into this earth plane is a traumatic experience. We separate from source. And no matter how awesome our parents are, they're imperfect. Everybody is imperfect. And so we're gonna get some programming. We have to learn how to fit into this society. We have to learn the rules of being a human. And then when we get to the point where we're ready to wake up, that's when we start backtracking and looking into our past and integrating who we had to be and who we had to pretend to be to survive. And then eventually we can change that. We can alchemize that and turn that base metal into gold. So this isn't a cry for anyone else to stop drinking. Please, if you're not hurting anybody else, have fun, do whatever you want. But this is just something I've noticed that I thought was interesting, that I'm sure I'll notice other things as I progress in this life and on this awakening journey, how certain things will no longer be in resonance. And that's okay. That's part of the journey. Upward and onward.